Today on the Daily Scoop podcast from the Scoop News Group, how the VA is wrestling with digital transformation amid an austere budget environment. And the DIU looks to get another big funding boost in 2025. It's Wednesday, June 5th, 2024. Welcome to the Daily Scoop podcast, where you'll hear the latest news and trends facing government leaders. I'm the host of the Daily Scoop podcast, Billy Mitchell. Here are today's top headlines. Working under the threat of technology-related budget cuts that has elicited concerns from both sides of the aisle in Congress, the Department of Veterans Affairs has managed to make progress on several tech priorities. That's according to the agency's Chief Technology and Chief Artificial Intelligence Officer, Charles Worthington, who said in an interview with FedScoop that the agency is engaged in targeted hiring for AI experts, while also sustaining its existing modernization efforts, adding that he wished the agency could do more. While Worthington wrestles with the proposed fiscal year 2025 funding reductions, the VA's Office of Information and Technology also finds itself in the legislative crosshairs over modernization system upgrades, a supposed lack of AI disclosures and inadequate tech contractor sanctions, and ongoing scrutiny over its electronic health record modernization initiative with Oracle Cerner. Worthington spoke to FedScoop about the VA's embrace of AI, the status of its modernization push, how it's handling budget uncertainty, and much more. You can read more from that interview with Worthington on FedScoop.com in an exclusive Q&A, and next week we'll have the interview in its entirety here on the Daily Scoop podcast. In other news, the Pentagon's Silicon Valley Innovation Arm isn't having any trouble getting funding from appropriators. For the second year in a row, appropriators have signaled that they'd like to far exceed the amount of funding the Pentagon has requested for the Defense Innovation Unit. A fiscal 2025 defense appropriations bill, which is scheduled to be marked up Wednesday by House Appropriations Defense Subcommittee, would provide $833 billion in total discretionary funding for the department, including more than $1.3 billion for DIU and select defense-wide innovation efforts to deliver capabilities from non-traditional sources, including small and medium-sized businesses. The approximately $900 million in total funding for DIU would be a major bump over the Pentagon's fiscal 2025 request, which called for only $110 million for the unit. For fiscal 2024, lawmakers appropriated $946 million for DIU, which was $842 million above its budget request. DIU, which is headquartered in Silicon Valley and has offices in other commercial tech hubs around the U.S., works to bring additional vendors into the DoD's innovation ecosystem. Under Director Doug Beck, the unit has embedded personnel at key combatant commands and launched DIU 3.0, with the goal of scaling technologies more broadly across the military. The organization is also supporting the Pentagon's Replicator initiative, which aims to field thousands of attritable autonomous systems across multiple domains by August 2025 to help the U.S. Armed Forces counter China's military buildup. The appropriations bill released Tuesday includes $220 million of funding increase for DIU's fielding of capabilities aimed at addressing the most pressing commander priorities, and $240 million to boost DIU's fielding of technologies with programming commitments from the military services. It also calls for an additional $45 million for a classified facility expansion that would allow for early digital runs of new technologies and help obtain clearances for commercial companies and non-traditional defense sources. For more news at the intersection of the federal government and technology, visit FedScoop.com. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of the Daily Scoop podcast, available on all podcast platforms. If you've already rated the podcast on your platform of choice, thanks so much. High ratings and good reviews of the show help more people to find it. The Daily Scoop podcast is a production of the Scoop News Group in Washington, D.C. Adam Butler and Carlin Fisher help put the show together, and the entire Scoop News Group team contributes. We'll be back tomorrow with more top headlines. Until then, I'm your host, as always, Billy Mitchell. Thanks so much for tuning in.